So again, good afternoon, everyone, or to my colleagues in the Visayas and Mindanao, mayong hapon. My name is Jonas. Actually coming in from my office here in Makati, but what I'll be discussing is a bit more scientific, no, and a bit more data heavy. But what I wanted to show you, or what I will be showing you for this presentation, is the connection between uh, energy and climate change and how renewable energy can really play a role into all of this. So this was released last week. This is from the synthesis report of the Intergovernmental Panel for Climate Change, sixth assessment report. But what the message here is saying is that we're already experiencing climate change, and no matter how old we are, and we're going to have impacts of climate change, no matter how much the naysayers are going to put it, and it doesn't look like it's going to be a very nice future for us if we don't do something about it. And one way that you mitigate the impacts of climate change or react when it comes to climate change is through measures related to adaptation and mitigation. And part of the mitigation measures is actually the shift from your traditional sources of energy, which is your traditional coal, oil, natural gas sources, moving forward to renewable sources or clean energy sources, and also sustainable sources of energy. So from the report, same report now from the IPCC synthesis report, you see that it is of high importance to go towards more sustainable and renewable sources such as solar, wind, bioelectricity, fuel switching, energy efficiency. So it's there. No, it's the scientists are really telling us that we need to make the shift, and we need to take the shift now. Question is, in terms of the science, why is it that we're still generating or still emitting carbon globally? So if you follow this diagram, it's kind of like a scientific reaction. If you go for the electricity generation, a coal power plant, a natural gas plant, and an oil power plant will use the reaction called combustion, meaning you burn a certain fuel to generate energy. But there are side products. So for coal and oil, basically the same: CO2, methane, nitrous oxide. So not really methane, sorry. Actually, it's just CO2, nitrous oxide, and other carbon compounds. But for natural gas, it's just CO2 because the starting source is methane. So I do apologize. There's something wrong about that. But eventually, it will end up as your overall carbon emissions, particulate matter, water vapor, and so on, which would lead to global warming and ultimately climate change. But we sometimes neglect transport fuel. So let's also look at it in terms of your diesel and gasoline powered cars. It's kind of similar to what you emit when you use coal or oil or natural gas. So everything that we're doing right now, everything that we're dependent right now, will eventually lead to carbon emissions and other sources, other side reactions, I guess, into your energy generation process, which will ultimately lead to climate change. Now, where are we in terms of the Philippine situation? Now, according to the European Union's report on emissions for all countries, just in terms of CO2, no, we're not including other gases such as methane, nitrous oxide, the fluorinated gases, which comprise the groups of gases that are considered to be the leading cause of climate change. You see that the power industry and the transport sector account for close to 72% of all emissions that were generated in 2021. And if you look at it in an electricity perspective, I know Attorney Kalayo was already giving us some data there, but this is the energy generation profile of the Philippines from 2018 to 2022. And this was given by the NGCP. So this is from their data. And what you could see is that it's really dominated by coal. I know it's close to 60% now on this, but yeah, again, this is really a sign that renewables renewables is still not yet there. If you look at it per source. If you look at it on an average in 2022, again, coal really dominates the conversation at around 5.2 million kilowatt hours. If you look at it in an average from 2018 to 2020, 2018 to 2022, if you group, the renewable energy, total traditional fuels, so that's your coal and other sources, and then binukod ko lang si natural gas because natural gas is considered as a transition fuel according to the Philippine Energy Plan, you'd see that although renewable energy is making a headway in the past 5 years, the total traditional fuels still dominate the conversation. Now, if we look at it in a more island group perspective, this is the average electricity generated in Luzon for 2022 in terms of kilowatt hours. Again, coal dominates the conversation, followed by natural gas, followed by the other sources of energy. Most of them are renewables. In the Visayas, coal still dominates at around 700,000 kilowatt hours, but it's followed by, I think this is, again, nat gas, and then you have your renewable sources. In Mindanao, although the number two source is hydro, coal still dominates the conversation at around 684 kilowatt hours at an average. Now, how about transport? You look at this, the highlights here for transport, and what you see is that it's really dominated by, of course, your diesel and gasoline. But I'd like to pause for a moment here and look at how energy is being used per sector in the Philippines based on the report of the Philippine Energy Situation, by the DOE on the Philippine Energy Situationer. And you see that most of the items here highlighted in the green boxes are, really coming from your traditional sources of energy, your fossil fuels. So what's the point of this message? If we change the source, we can really get a clean energy source with little disruptions or pollution. It can power the home safely. And having little to no emissions generated is a better way to have a future, not just in the Philippines, but around the world. So with that, thank you so much.